Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. As you can see, it's $1 Wednesday, $1 Wednesday at Snap Click Supply Company. And I'm going to show you how to use these $1 Wednesday things with both your Cricut design space and with Silhouette software. So let's get started. I've chosen two to use. I'm going to use the New Day Element Pack and I'm going to use the New Day Paper Pack. So number ones. So if you want to hurry right now, pause the video, run over there and get them because they're only $1 on Wednesday today to get this exact set. So once you click on it, you'll see what it looks like. And you can actually click on it again and see it bigger and even bigger. So you can kind of look through here and see what you're going to get. And I'm going to show you how to use these things and put offsets on them. Like I said, Cricut Design Space and Silhouette. Notice it's 46 decorative elements in PNG format. Aren't they cute? I think they're super sweet. So let's get started with this. First one I'm going to do is I've already bought them. As you can see down here, I have two zip files because I bought the one that has the papers in it, and I also bought the one that has these elements in it. And I love this. Isn't this cute? Living our best life. So anyway, I've downloaded them, and if you come over here, you'll see them in my download folder. One of them I've already unzipped. This one right here that ends with PP1. This was how it came in zipped. I had to click on it and say extract, and then it made this folder of all the files extracted, which if I double click on it, you can see, if I open this up, there are the papers, okay? And I can even right click on this and say view extra large icons. So if I really want to get a good look of what these cute files look like, I can see them. Love this one with the little bees. What is this one? And if I double click on it again, isn't that pretty? Well, as you know, Tammy, who is one of our Digi-Chicks, she has decided not to buy any pattern paper anymore. She has just been printing her own, which saves her tons of money because she only prints what she needs when she needs it. So let's go back to see all. No, that's not what we want. Okay, so the other thing now I have to do is go back to my downloads, and I'm going to go ahead and extract this one. So I'll double click on, or I'll click on it, come up here to extract all, and I always just leave the destination the way it comes up right here, and I leave this check that says show extracted files when complete. So I'm going to say extract, and here is the extracted folder. So we can go in here now, and again, let's see, are these the extra large? View extra large icons, and you can see exactly what we get in here. Aren't these cute? I love them. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use all these wonderful little designs that you bought for only $1 in Cricut Design Space. So all you have to do is this, go to upload an image, and you're going to browse on your computer to where you save them. I saved mine in my downloads folder, and I'm going to start with the banner right here and say open. There's the banner, cute like that. I'll say complex and continue. I'm just going to leave it right like this and say apply and continue. And I'm going to use it for a print then cut. So I'll click on this and say upload. Now here it is, and I'm going to click on it and say add it to my canvas. So it comes in really, really big, and as long as this lock right here is locked, I can change its dimensions, and I'll make it to a 5, like that. Okay, and now we're going to put an offset around this, and the way we do that is to highlight it or select it, and then come up here to where it simply says offset. And, oops, let me undo that for a sec. Okay, highlight it, and then click on this button for the offset. And I can change the distance of the offset, and I can change it to make it squared or rounded, and you can play with that. But let's say I love it just like that, so I'll say apply. Notice my offset is black, and I don't want it to be black. I want it to be white. So I'm going to change it to white. And now I'm going to grab both of these two items over here in the layers panel, and I'm going to group them. So I can right click and say group. Okay, so now they're grouped. Now, it's hard to tell what's going to happen to this when I cut it, right? So many of you have a problem with that. And there are two different ways that you can check and see what's going to print and cut before you do it. So one way I've suggested is just to get a shape. And I usually just take the square and drag out the square and right click and say send it to the back. And now you can see with that square there, what is the outermost thing that's going to cut? It's the white offset. Perfect, just like that. Now if you didn't want to go the square route, what you could do is this. Come way down here in the lower right hand side where it says blank canvas, click on that. And then come up here to where it says color, because it doesn't look like anything happened, right? And nothing did happen yet. However, come up here to the word color, click on that, and change the color to something else. And there, bingo, you can see what's going to cut. What is the outermost edge of what's going to cut? So let's go to make it, and you can see what's going to print then cut is this little guy right here. Now, we could move him or adjust him so he doesn't take up so much of the paper. And if we go to continue, we would send it to the printer first. And here it's preparing to print, but I'm not going to print this out yet. Okay. So I'm going to say stop. And we're going to cancel this. And yes, it's okay to cancel. All right. Let's see. Now let's go to cancel again. And we're back here. And I'm just going to grab this thing and delete it. Okay, so now we have nothing over here in the layers panel. There's nothing here. And I think I'll change my canvas back to white by clicking here and then coming up here and changing it to white. Okay, so let's get the next thing. Upload, upload an image, browse. Let's see. Let's see. I really like the camera too. So let's do that. Complex, continue. Here it is, just like this. Continue. Now this would be a beautiful print and cut on a page. However, it's going to try to cut these little dashed lines and around the bumblebee way too close in my opinion. But I would click on this and say upload. Here it is. And now I can add it to my canvas. Okay, once it's added to my canvas, if we want to see what's going to cut, let's come back here to the blank canvas again and change the color. Maybe to something else so we won't use, how about orange? Ooh, that's sort of bright, right? There we go. How about that gray? And you can see that it's going to cut right around the edge of this, around the bee. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to cut these dotted lines. So that's why you want to put an offset on it. So highlight it, come up here to where it says offset, and you can look how big that offset is that automatically comes in. May not want it to be that big. You can make it much smaller. Remember, we want to have it so that these lines are offset together. So I would say apply. There it comes in the black again. But I want to make it white if it's a print and cut. And there's my offset like that. Now, you may not want to have these little loop-de-doops coming out here like this. So how can you get rid of these extra holes that are in here? The way you're going to have to do that is to change this offset from a print and cut, come over here and change it to a cut basic. Once it's a cut basic, notice what option you have down here. You have the contour option. So you're going to click on contour. Once you've clicked on that, you start clicking on the things that you don't want to cut. And then just X this out and you're left with this, and you can change its color back to white. And you can bring this guy, right click and send to the front, bring it back over here. And grab everything and align everything center. Perfect. And then group. And let's see if we make it, what happens now. Okay, we have two different pages because we didn't finish with this piece. So let's cancel this. What you need to do to finish is to grab both of these and say flatten. That makes it into one print then cut, so then you can make it and then it is one print then cut. And again, you may be wondering, well, how do I know what's going to print then cut? Well, you can see I've changed the color of the background to gray so you can see the white outer edge. So let's go through that one again. I'm going to upload it and I'm going to add it to my canvas. Okay, here it is. I'm going to offset it. So I'm going to come up here and say offset. And I'll say apply. I don't want it to be black, so I'm going to change it to white. I'm going to move my camera off because I don't want all these little pieces like this. So I'm going to click on it to highlight it, change it from a print then cut to a basic cut, which allows me to have the contour lines, at which point I am going to get rid of everything that I don't want to cut. And then I can X this out. This is perfect. This is my piece that I need. I can change it back to white, bring this piece over on top, grab both of these, come up here to align center, and with they're both selected, I would flatten them. Then it's one print then cut, and we can go and make it. Okay, let's try another one. Let's get rid of this guy. Whoops. I'm going to upload an image, browse, and I think I'll do this. Rainbow. Look at all the space behind him that doesn't show up. So I'm going to say complex. So he definitely needs an offset. Apply and continue. Print then cut. Upload. Here it is. Add it to my canvas. And there it is. And if you look at that gray behind there. You can tell that those little dots are going to cut out. If you're not sure, let's change the canvas color. Let's change the canvas color to purple. Okay, and now look, you see everywhere you see purple, that all is going to be cut out. So there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 stripes and all these little dots. Certainly not what you want. So click on this thing, come over here to offset, change the size of the offset to whatever you'd like. Say apply. I'm going to change my offset to white. And it looks really good just like that. I don't think there's anything else I have to do with this one. But let's double check. Let's move this off. Yep, that's a perfect shape. So we can undo that to move it right back on to where it goes. And I can grab both of those items. Notice they're both chosen over here. And say flatten, which makes it back into one print then cut. And we can make it just like that. Cancel. Let's try another one. Let's go to upload, upload an image, browse. Let's see, what else shall we do? How about this bicycle? Open. Lots of transparency behind that bike. So we'll go to complex, continue. Here's the bike, apply. I want to print then cut. So I'm choosing the print then cut image, upload. Here it is. Add it to my canvas. So again, since the background is purple, you can see everything that's going to cut out is everything that's not purple. The purple is just the backing. We can change the background color to something else if we'd like. Let's change the background color to, oh, if I can get my mouse to work. Oh, crazy mouse. Let's change that background color to red. So now you can see all these red spaces in between these little spokes. Though all those red spaces are going to cut out. What a mess that would be, right? All those spaces. So let's leave it like that, because what we're going to do now is click on it and we're going to add an offset, and you can add it whatever size you'd like. Okay, it added the offset pretty big, which is good. If it didn't add it that big, we could have a problem, and I'll show you how to fix the problem. So here we go. Let's make our color back here a little bit lighter. Maybe you could see better. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, you can see that in between each one of these spokes, again, it's still going to cut, right? So that's not what we want. But let's go ahead and make this offset make the offset white. There we go. So now you can see where the offset is. So let's move this off and see if there is a problem. You know, there really isn't that much of a problem. There's a couple of spots here that I probably wouldn't want my machine to cut out, or here between the handlebars. So how do we fix that again? We click on this and change it to a basic cut file. Once it's a basic cut file, we can contour it. And once we can contour it, I always start at the bottom and start checking these things I don't want to cut. And then we should finally be left with just the solid bicycle. And I can change it back to white again if I would like. And bring my bike back over. Grab both things and come up here to align center. And then I need to flatten them, because notice there are two things over here. There's the print and cut bike, and there's the basic cut of the offset. We want both of these things to be flattened and print and cut together. So I'm going to grab both things and come down here to where it says flatten. When I click on this button, look up here and see what happens to these two layers. Flatten. Perfect. Just one print and cut. And you know what's going to print and cut is right around the outermost border, which is the white. Let's try one more. This will be the last one. We're going to upload an image, browse, and I'm going to have some pretty cards to show you where we've used some of these elements. Let's just do a leaf. Open. Complex, continue, and add, apply and continue, print then cut, so upload, click on it and add it to my canvas. And there it is right there. And as you can see, well, let's put the color behind it. What's going to cut is right around, and let's see, can I scroll in? Yeah. Okay, what's going to cut is right here and around here, and that piece is so small, it's like a thread, so it's probably going to tear when you try to put it on whatever you're putting it on. So what I would suggest you do is to put an offset, of course. So click on this offset, and it automatically grabs a big old offset to put on it. And I can probably change this myself by hitting in different numbers. Yep. Okay, that looks terrific, just like that. I love it. Whoops, where did it go? I forgot to apply. So offset, and there it, oops, I don't want that. I want 0.07, I think it was. That looks good. Okay, 0.7, that, apply. Again, it made it black. But if I go ahead, let's see what happens now. Let's say if I have both of these and I say flatten. Yeah, see, it's going to be black. It's going to print and cut with that black outline around it. I don't want that. So I'm going to undo that. So I'm going to go ahead and put my offset on there again. Apply. I'm going to change its color to white. And then I'm going to grab both of these things either by drawing a box like that or coming over here and clicking on one, hold down my shift to get the other. Then I'll say attach. You may be saying, but Patty Ann, I don't think there's a white offset on there. I can't see it. Well, how do you check that? Easy. Go down here to where it says blank canvas. Come up here to color. Change the color. And check it out. There is a white offset on that. And that is what's going to print and cut just like that. Okay, here we are in Silhouette Studio now, and I'll show you how to do the offset on these. You just click on this. I brought in the one and I've named it Banner Flags. Looks like this. I might like to make it smaller, just because if I was going to put it on a card, I'd probably like it a lot smaller. And then I'm going to put a white offset on it. So I'm going to move it off my mat so you can see it better over here when I put the white offset on it. So I'll just click on it, come over here to the offset panel, and again I'm using the business edition of this software. You can use whatever edition works with the machine you have. If you're using a Cricut machine and you want to work over here, because there's so much you can do in this software to design things for print and cut, for banners, for posters, for invitations, anything, menus, you can design things over here and then just print them on your printer, and you don't even have to have a machine. And I'll have a link for you up above to a project where I show doing just that. Okay, I'm going to scroll in a little bit on this for you using the tool up here that I say looks like a bug. Notice this little center of rotation thing. I don't want that on here. So if you ever have that pop up because you've hit a key on your keyboard that made it show up, all you have to do is come up here to Edit, Preferences, and go to Defaults maybe? Default, oh yeah, here it is. Center of rotation is on or is checked. I want to uncheck it and say Apply and OK. And now that little stinker thing will be gone. Okay, so now I want to put an offset around these. So I just come over here to the side panel on the right, click on the star that has a little offset on it, click on it, and say Offset. And I can change the color of the offset by coming up here and like this. And that's ready to go, other than what I need to do is group these together, right click and group, so they stay together. But I want to show you something if you're using a Cameo or a portrait like I use. If you go over here to Send, notice where it's going to cut. It's going to cut inside or on the outer edge of each shape and then on the outer edge of everything. That's not what we want. So I would just click on this to select it and come over here to Cut Edge. You can tell by the little diagram here. Notice there's a rectangle and a circle, and it's cutting all of those lines. And then when it says to cut edge, notice just this darker line around the outside. Well, that's what we want, just like that. So I would cut that. Okay, let's try the next one. I think this one's really super cute. You might like this one. Check it out. If we were to cut this thing, okay, Send, every little piece of this would cut out. Certainly not what you want. So go back to Design, and again, we're going to put an offset on it. So I'll move it over here so you can see that, and I'll make it a lot larger. And we can just come over here on the right-hand side to the Offset panel, which is the star. Open that up, click on this to select it, and just say Offset. And I put a super offset around that, except for I see some problems with it. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I come up here to where the cross hatching is that shows that that offset is transparent, and I make it white, and then I move the bicycle off of this, okay, you can see each one of these little shapes is going to cut out, and we certainly don't want that to happen. So what's easy to do in Silhouette is just click on the item, come up here to Object, release the compound path. That puts squares around everything that make up this item. And then all you have to do is right click and weld. Gone now. And put this guy right back on top of here. And if you want to get it on perfectly, you can grab both items and not center to page, which is this one, and you know that because it has a little page outline around it, but simply center, and that centers it perfectly. Then I would group it. And let's drag it over to our mat now and see how that would cut. So here we are on the mat. If we go to send, oh my gosh, all that stuff is still gonna cut. Oh my heavens, that's not what we want, right? What do we have to do? Come up here, instead of it saying cut, click on it to select it. We're going to say cut edge, and now it's going to be perfect. Just cut around there like that. Super duper. Okay, let's try the camera. I love this camera. I think it's super cute. Again, if we were to send this just as it is, it would cut these little dash lines and pretty much cut around the edge of everything like we like, but it would be right smack dab up against everything. And I don't know about you, but I always like to have that little white border because I think it looks really professional. So let's move it over here so we can see better. Drag this box around it, make it larger. And again, we would just come up here to the offset panel, which is the star with the offset, and say offset. And I usually just leave it at the default. Well, mine's at 0.050, which is, I think, a nice offset for this. But you can fool with that by going up and down depending on how big of an offset you'd like on yours. I actually would like my offset to be such that these pieces touch together. So watch that. When I get smaller offset, so can you see that there's a little hole in between each of these things? So this is going to cut, and this is going to cut, and this is going to cut. Okay, that's not what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that offset just so we can start fresh again. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to say offset. And it stays at the offset that I most recently used when I made it smaller. It was 0.030. I want to increase that offset. And then I can make this white so we can see it better. And look how nice that's going to be. So instead of cutting out each one of these little dots, it's going to make these scalloped edges around there. And it's going to be really nice. The only thing is maybe I'd want this piece to be closed in a little bit. And this is a little bit more advanced, but oopsie daisy, I can show it to you right now. We can double click on this. And the people that are in my Patreon class, you know about this. Double click on that and it brings up these little things called nodes. If we click on one, it highlights it and makes it white, which makes it the active node. And I can delete it on my keyboard. See how I'm deleting some of those? And I can delete this one because there's no need for my machine to have to cut in like that. So I'll double click again, delete that node, delete that one, and that one, and that one. And so it kind of makes a more rounded area. So if we bring this back over, you can maybe see what I mean now. And I actually could get rid of this little circle in here because it's really not necessary either, like that. And if I really wanted to get rid of all of this stuff and not have this loose piece hanging out here or here, I could do the same thing we had done before. Select this, go to Object, whoops, release the compound path, which puts a box around everything, and then right click and say Weld. And that welds everything together so that that is what we'd have. And again, I could grab both things and come up here to where it says center and then group them together. So once again, if we bring this over here onto our mat and we check to see how this is going to cut, let's go to send. Ooh, right now that's not what we want, but we know what we need to do is say cut edge, and that's all it's going to do. But of course, before we do that, we would want to print it. So I would go to File. Actually, before we did that, and I wasn't going to get into this many details, but before we did that, if you're using Silhouette, what you would need to do is come up here to the Page Setup panel and come to the third button over, because that puts on your registration marks. Right now they're off. You need them on if you want to go ahead and cut this with your machine after you print it. Okay. And in the meantime, what I could do is click on this, hold down my Alt button and make another one. Alt button, make another, Alt, another. I could make a whole page of these if I wanted to. Change different sizes. And then I would go to File and Print. And that shows exactly what's going to print. But I'll cancel that for right now. And let's go on to the next one, the leaves. There are two different styles of leaves. You can change their sizes. And again, what you would do is come over here to the offset panel and offset. And so if we look at that one very closely, I can see I'd want to tidy that one up a little bit too. So what I might like to do, instead of making my offset just that size, is I might want to go ahead, and it's going to make it small again. Let's scroll back in. When I come to offset, I might want to grow my offset some so those little lines are gone, right? And even that little line is gone. So this makes a much more solid piece to be print and cut and putting on cards or whatever you'd like to put them on. You can make it smaller if you'd like. Maybe you don't want your offset so wide, but maybe you don't want these little holes in here that your machine's going to have to cut out. What do? Click on this item, come up here to Object, release the compound path, right click and weld. And there it is, perfect, just like that. Okay, let's see if one more, a rainbow. Looks like the rainbow might work pretty well, right, just as it is. But if you drag it over here, you'll notice it's going to cut out all these little dots, and each one of these little sections is going to cut out individually. So we can see that over here if we go to Send. Okay, it's cutting out each one individually, but what if we go to Cut Edge? It's still cutting each one individually. So we need to go back to Design. While this is highlighted, come to the Offset panel and say Offset. And let's look and see this. Look at these little squares in here. We don't want all those to cut out, or all these shapes in here, these internal shapes. So we can up the distance to get rid of all of those. And then we can right click and grab everything and group. And let's check it out now. If we go to Send, look at that. That's what's going to be cutting when we cut the edge, of course, after we print it. So that's how easy it is to do all of this in Silhouette software and your Cricut machine. Okay, as you can somewhat see here, I've gone ahead and done a bunch of these little things on my portrait machine. Now I am using a special kind of paper. This paper right here is by Butter Crafts, and I have it linked in my store that I use for Amazon so I can keep track of all of my things, and in case you'd like to get the same thing. It's really, really nice sticker paper, but I did go ahead and stick it onto cardstock too, so it would have a really nice sheen to it, and it would also be stiffer because of the cardstock that I stuck it onto. So I just peeled it off and stuck it on. Got to be careful right there because I didn't make that a very big offset where that wheel is attached. But aren't these super cute? I just love them. This one right here, if you're used to using Silhouette with me on Patreon or wherever, you know that we can take something and quickly change its color just like that with a click of a button. I did the same thing to this a little bit. You can't tell a whole lot, but I changed the colors of these a bit as well. So let's continue on. Okay, what you're seeing here is a card that Tammy, my partner in crime, made this morning. I saw that there was the $1 Wednesday today, and I thought they were gorgeous. So I said, Tammy, can you make a card and have it ready by such and such a time so I can add it into my video so people can watch the video and then have time to go get the dollar deal? You know, I'm not affiliated with the $1 Wednesday people. I just think it's a pretty good deal, and it makes gorgeous cards. So Tammy said, sure, I can do it. And of course, the time came when I said, let's be done, and neither she or I were done. So that's why this is a little later than I had hoped, but I hope you have time to go grab the $1 Wednesday Wednesday, maybe put it on your calendar, because every Wednesday you can go and get the $1 Wednesday stuff. So in the meantime, I hope you check out my links down below. I have lots of links in case you're in the market to purchase something. I sure appreciate it when you use them. It just helps fund what we're doing here at PattyAnnesPlace. And hope you'll join us on our Facebook group so you can show what you've made out of your $1 Wednesday finds or other stuff. I also have a sewing and embroidery Facebook page in case you're interested in learning more about that. So again, thanks so much for joining me. And Tammy, big shout out to you for coming through with this gorgeous card. And by the way, let me show you what goes on the back of this card. Okay, Tammy decided to make a really nice backing to the card. This also came in the kit, and she can write a nice sentiment or even a letter to the recipient of her card. So again, thanks so much for joining us. Again, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.